12:02, we're going to go ahead and get started. We're going to call the meeting to order, and if we can go ahead and do roll call.
Monica Isham.
Here.
Julia Lyons.
Here.
Grant Gerber. Andy Alvarado. Mike Wohler. Tweed Schuman. Doug Rotek. Bruce Paquette.
Here.
Bobby Hinkfist. John Yackel. Mark Helwig is online. Mark.
Yep, here.
Elaine Smith. Marshall Savitsky.
Here.
Kathy McCoy. Bill Trepanier. You have a quorum.
All right, and yep, Grant Gerber came in right as you were calling roll.
Grant is here. Oh, thank you.
All right, thank you. If everyone can please stand, we're going to do the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Certification of compliance with the open meeting law.
This meeting has been noticed to the public and news media as required by section 19.84 of the Wisconsin statutes.
Thank you. All right, as far as the agenda, everybody's had an opportunity to review that for today. I know we saw one correction, and I will say that I just looked at it yesterday because I've been so busy. So it's my fault if we have to fix anything, but go ahead.
Yeah, we're going to remove the truancy ordinance update under 11B. On the
agenda. Yep. And then are there any other additions or deletions or modifications that anyone needs to the agenda? Okay. Hearing none, we're gonna move on with just that correction. And that's to 11B. All right, next would be public comment. Do we have anyone?
Hello. So I just want to make you aware, I'm working on an article about the recent.
Could you just tell us your name?
Frank Zufall with the Story County Record. I've talked to several in this room already, but I'm working on an article about the trend that we've had in the county to for the jail population to be falling. It's significantly less than it was like 3 or 4 years ago when we were in the low hundreds, high 90s, and now we're in the 50s. So I think it's a really good story. It's a really good story about decision-making, planning, and good governance. So I've talked to several in this room. If there's anybody else that wants to talk to me about this article, please contact me. I'm putting it together this week. So just to give everybody a heads up.
Thank you. Okay, anybody else for public comment? Okay, thank you. All right, hearing no others, let's go ahead and go on to the approval of the minutes from the previous meeting. Has everybody had an opportunity to review those? And are there any changes requested? Oh, that's in here. Okay, seeing and hearing nobody jumping to make any changes.
I'll motion to accept the minutes
Okay,
as
we
written.
have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Marshall. All right. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion will be granted. Okay, let's go ahead and move on to the jail report update. We've got one in here. I suppose we've got it in the file. We don't have usually, I forget who it is, who always does it. Is it Wooler who usually does that? All right. Did you want to add anything, Sheriff?
I have nothing
Okay.
additional to add
Okay.
unless somebody has questions.
Does anybody have any questions on the jail report? Okay. All right, then hearing none, we can go ahead and move on. Where am I? 9, right? Okay. Criminal Justice Coordinator.
Hello, everyone. I am Katie Ann Dussel with Justice Point. I'm standing in for Becky Berry today. Becky and Lieutenant Wooler are currently at a workshop in North Carolina where they are learning about medication-assisted treatment, medication-assisted therapy, planning and implementation for the jail. So they asked me to stand in.
Thank you.
So as of right now, Justice Point's current numbers are, we have 151 on pretrial supervision with, I'm looking for our overcapacity memo numbers. Well, we are still on overcapacity memos. We have about 10 that are on our wait list right now. We hope to start taking people off the wait list by the beginning of September. And then as far as our other numbers, on diversion, we have 11 active and about 4 referrals, 3 that have successfully completed. And then as of yesterday and Monday, we had 2 more complete. Treatment court numbers, we right now actively have 8. Those are the numbers that I have for y'all at the time. Any questions specifically to our numbers or our programming, feel free to email Becky. But any other questions, I can try to answer.
I just have a comment. I obviously get to see all of the hard work that you're doing, and I know that you're doing a phenomenal job, but it is also amazing to hear from the participants who are working through the system, and they're successfully completing diversion sometimes, or in recovery court sometimes, or even just starting their process. And so far, everybody raves about the approach that you're taking, the resources that you're offering. And specifically, when you come into court, when we're getting somebody successfully completing with diversion, I love the comments that you make on behalf of those people. And I think that it's a reward to them. They've successfully completed, which already is an award, right? But then also to hear in that setting how well they did, and being able to put it behind them and move forward with a positive approach, it makes a world of difference. So I really just appreciate all of the hard work that you're doing.
Thank you. Anything else? Oh, and if you weren't at the National Night Out, you really missed it because I got dunked in the dunk. But enjoy the rest of the day. Thank you.
Thank you, Katie Ann. Did anyone have anything else on that? I know that we have as a letter A, the law enforcement deflection grant update. Are we getting an update on that? Probably not, right? Because Becky's not here. Okay. All right. All right. Then what we'll do is we'll move on. We'll keep that on the agenda for next time. Okay, let's go into number 10, which is the Health and Human Services report.
Okay, so in looking at the opioid funding update, in discussions, we don't have it up there. In discussions with Andy and Mike, what we decided to do was to create it, the budget, so that it would go in with the calendar year for 25 instead of being this weird off-cycle piece. So next month, we should have that pulled together and be able to present that as it will be moved on through with the regular budget. We should, yep, and we should have at least to get us through the year, there's funding available for us the way it's already been processed. So it's not like we have to stop doing anything. We have funds between the opioid settlement and some of our other grants that we're braiding and blending together. So it does not reflect on stopping any of our work as we move forward. It just makes more sense to be in the regular budget. So that is that update. Joyce, did you have a couple pieces that you wanted to add maybe on? And so then moving on to B, unless anybody has any questions on the budget process.
Thank goodness. Did not want to listen to all that. Off the record.
Yeah, I don't have a lot for an update. We are distributing a lot of Narcan. We got a Narcan direct grant earlier this year. And we are working with the jails. The jails are offering it to people on release if they want it. We have also put up nalox boxes. So there's a box in Winter and there's one at the sheriff's office. And people are using it. Probably where we are handing it out the most is at the food shelf. So we are making it available there and people are now coming and asking for it. And we're probably going to put a box up at the food shelf. We are working on a vaping campaign for this fall, but the one thing I just wanted to update you with is we met with the city council, I think it was Monday night, and they approved for us to put up a huge banner across Main Street from August 26th through September 2nd in recognition of International Overdose Awareness Day. So we are working with other counties, specifically Ashland, Bayfield area, but we're working with putting together a northern consortium of different counties that we will every year work together on this overdose awareness effort a little bit more so that it's not just Sawyer County, it will be many counties together. So this is just the first year we're doing it and kind of the start of it. So next year there'll be bigger and better things.
Oh, thank you. That all sounds great. So this overdose awareness week, that is that week then?
The Overdose Awareness Day is August 31st.
Okay.
And we asked to put it up for the whole week
Okay.
before. Kim Dale has a fundraiser, a fentanyl awareness fundraiser that she does on August 24th. So at that, we will be handing out, we have some buttons and we have flyers and information for people to kind of push it a little more. We'll also be handing it out. I'm at the fair later this week and this weekend, so we'll be handing it out there as well.
Great. Well, thank you. Does anybody have any questions or comments? Thank you very much. Okay, is that the only updates then in the Health and Human Services category? Okay. Okay, so then let's go ahead and move on. Are we up to 11? Yes. Youth Justice Update.
Oh, my name is Sarah Anchelskas. I am the Youth Justice Supervisor for the county. For June 2024, we only had 3 referrals, which was a nice little break in how things have been going for us. Our caseloads remain high at this time. We do have, we have 8 kids in out-of-home placement. So they're in residential, Lincoln Hills, Mendota, and we have, I think, 2 that are going to be discharged fairly soon. However, I believe we're going to have 2 more then taking the place of those 2. Another update would be that we are working on, we did apply for the Youth Innovation Grant, and our goal would be to use that funding to create a diversion program. So I know there's been some frustration with youth justice not taking on truancy or THC, but the purpose of youth justice is to really take on delinquency. And so we're trying to be creative in because we recognize it's a problem in our community. And so we are hoping to use that funding to be able to focus more on truancy and THC. We would like to keep that informal as possible. And it would be very rare that we would be sending a case on to court, and to continue to try to prevent that formal court involvement. We should be hearing by the end of the month if we were approved for that grant. As Julia mentioned, that is a small portion of the funding that is needed. So she has used the term blending and braiding as to how we're going to bring those funds in. We believe that if we are approved for this grant, we would be starting out with 2 part-time workers to start to work on this. And then as the year goes on and into next year, we can look at budgeting and eventually making that hopefully 2 full-time positions. I think they would have their hands full, because truancy, as we know, the department hasn't been overly involved in that. And so I think kids are under the impression that they can just simply not go to school, and nobody's really going to check in on that or follow through. And honestly, that has worked for many years. But I think the message we want to be sending now is going to school isn't an option, it's the law. And so getting the people in the right spots that can help enforce that is, I think, going to be the start of a big change for our community.
Yeah, I agree. I think that, obviously we can see that truancy citations are coming in sort of like traffic citations lately. You get the citation, nobody ever shows up, to fight it. They all just default anyway. And it's like, how is that helping anything? So I appreciate your efforts in trying to find a different path forward, because we need to.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
All right. Oh, yeah. Yeah, of course. Thanks, Sarah.
Just want to say in support of her diversion program, I had a community member contact me about 2 months ago. She has a child in Hayward schools, very good grades, in sports, very active, plenty of friends, that was caught vaping in school. And upon further questioning by the parents, admitted to not only vaping in school, but also vaping THC, and then also trying alcohol. And her question to me was, what do I do? Who do I call? How do I get my kid help? I thought I was doing all the right things. I don't know what to do, and I want to stop this before it becomes a problem. And really the only people that I could refer her to was North Lakes. And so you're looking at somebody who has to have insurance of some sort in order to stop this problem before it becomes something that ends up in the courts. So I think this diversion program is really, really important, not only for our kids, but also to help the parents, because they just don't know where to go and what to do. So just wanted to throw that out there.
Thank you. I think you're spot on. You are. I mean, right? We all agree. Everybody's nodding their heads. I think the problem has now been, it's identified. It's an identified problem. So now it's just, we have to figure out how to fix it, and we got to put some effort. And that effort's going to need to include the school and all of the schools in this county. And actually, school is starting soon, right? So we really do need to put the pedal to the metal, so to speak, and start working out some of those issues. But yeah, I think you're right. We really are kind of lost on that right now, but we've got a really good plan going forward. So I think that hopefully that'll help. I appreciate it. Thank you. Does anybody oh yeah.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, I think we're at the same point with this as we were with diversion programs in the jail and everything with Justice Point. We're kind of back where we were when we started 8 years ago or 9 years ago with that. And look at where we've moved. And this is the same issue. We're just starting, and I think we can move the same way. So I think it's really, really important, and it works. I mean, it has worked with Justice Point and what's been happening there. And I see this as the same thing, right?
Yeah, and really, we have a roadmap kind of now going forward. We saw how diversion was working with adults, and we can kind of go and use a little bit of that framework to see how it's going to work with the juvenile. And certainly, if it does, then that, once a child is coming into court and desensitizing themselves to this system, the likelihood that they're going to be, continuing criminal behavior as an adult goes up. And, so if we can stop that and squash it while they're in the juvenile system, maybe they don't become part of the adult criminal system. So, a lot of work still needs to be done, certainly. But I think that we've got now the right focus to be able to do it, and kind of a roadmap as well. Does anybody else have any comments or anything? Okay.
I just want to say too, I think it's really important that the county and the county board in general recognize that spending money on diversion and other programs like this is extremely, extremely important. And I would hate to ever see that, we can't fund it, we can't do it, because what you save on the back end is so significant, it just takes time. So I really encourage the county to continue to fund these programs. Grants are obviously very important, but it's also the county board and the county administrator. No offense, Andy, but you're a good advocate. You are, in terms of funding this stuff. But I hate to see funding be a roadblock.
Mhm.
And actually, I was going to speak a little bit to that, Kathy. So one of the things too, as we look forward, using the grants to help us get up and started and running, eventually, we hope to see those other costs come down, and then we would just shift. We wouldn't be able to reduce our budget, but we'd be able to shift where the spending is going and be able to keep those programs moving forward. So.
Okay, all right, thank you. Let's go ahead and move on to community services updates, number 12.
Things are just going good. It's been a pretty good summer. Guys are actually graduating out of the house, and the best part of all that though is there are guys that have graduated and they've been holding their jobs and being successful and promoting the things that are going and showing other people in the community that, hey, I was where you were, a year, 2 years ago, and things are possible and stuff like that. So it's finally starting to, like you said, time, the work that was put in some of these is finally starting to show off around the community or be more present, but nothing big in the works at the moment. Any questions on anything?
Hey, you said you're graduating people. Do you have a number or a rough estimate?
We just had a recent graduate about 2 weeks ago, but I mean, it's still, with only 4 beds there, it's kind of one leaves and there's 6 that'll take the spot. And it's just finding the right matches. We've had a couple that we've had to kick out. Obviously there's, it seems right, you get in and people just aren't ready or whatnot, but otherwise, no, things are just going good there and constant. They're building it up. The workshop's finally running really good and everything like that. So they got funds coming in where the guys are actually working and learning the trades and things. So.
And if somebody graduates out of it, can they still be involved and participate as a
They can still
mentor?
be involved in all that stuff. Yep. And everything like that. And actually because it's like 6 months in-house there, we're working on trying to figure out where we can do like a 3/4 house, where you step from there and it's, cheaper rent, everything's there, but you have your responsibilities of you have to pay rent now, you pay your bill, because as we all know, living situations in Hayward are hard to find, especially affordable ones when you're just getting started. And
Right.
a lot of these guys are by themselves or things like that, or the women over at New Reflections and stuff. It's tough to find. So that's one of the things in the works is we're calling it a 3/4 house, but just give it a name, but kind of just affordable apartments. So
I like that. I actually like the name too.
yeah. Yeah.
I do.
You're close, you're responsible for a lot of your things and
Yeah.
stuff like that, but you just can't fully get out there and find, a lot of them, you need rental applications and your history
Right.
doesn't look exactly the greatest when you're
But
coming
yeah,
out of some of those things. and
the
stuff like
perfect
that.
candidate is not finding housing in
Yeah.
Hayward right now.
Yeah, and
So,
yeah, and we've actually talked about with the 3/4 housing not being just for like guys coming out of the House of Hope. There's people just in the community that
Mhm.
could use something like that, just 3 months or something to get on my feet. And
I really like that idea.
And as you keep working through that, I know that we've been kind of identifying some different grants along the way as well, that we can apply for. So it might be a partnership that would work out really well. So,
yeah, I think it's just something that could really help the area around here and help a lot of the programs that are working too. You know, you don't want to, you got this great start and now you're on your own, go, you know.
mhm.
Mhm. Awesome. Thank you. Does anybody have any questions or comments for Graham? Okay. Got a quiet crowd. All right, let's see. Where am I?
And any updates from New Day? Anybody have anything?
I don't think we saw anything
Okay.
either. Okay, so let's move on to 13 outside committee updates. Does anybody have any? I will just say, from recovery court standpoint, I know Katie Ann talked about how we have 8 participants in recovery court, but they are at different phases. We do have a plan that as they begin to kind of phase up, they would be able to start coming to recovery court less as sort of a incentive to want to be able to phase up. And then hopefully as that continues, then we'll be able to add more people in, because with 8 even, we are cutting it. So we're over by an hour every single time. Everybody glares at me the whole time because it's usually my fault. And you know, so even with 8, it's a lot. And because we're just starting, everybody is starting at the exact same phase at the exact same time. It's finally starting to, you know, some are pulling a little bit ahead and moving into the, you know, areas where they can phase up. So we're seeing a lot of progress in that. And, you know, of course, there's some situations where maybe people are not going to be able to remain in recovery court. And in that case too, we'll be able to get somebody who will take it seriously and in that place, because it is an opportunity. And we want to make sure that we're spending our time on somebody who takes that seriously. But I would say so far, so good. And Judge Yackel is emphatically nodding in support of my comment. So I think I'm right. Yeah, right. Okay, since there are no other outside committee updates, let's go to 14, the future agenda items. Without Becky here, what didn't we do?
There is.
Oh, yep, we have to keep that on.
No, there's no ordinance. We're not
Yeah.
doing, that just has to completely come off.
Right. So
But
it's just
we-
gonna be truancy on its own.
We're going to, well, we could talk about, where we're at with diversion, probably,
Okay,
rather than truancy ordinance update.
so maybe a diversion update.
Mm-hmm. And also, we also could do an overview of what youth justice looks like
Okay.
for kind of a training on what all happens in that system.
Okay.
Could we add, and maybe I need to talk to Lieutenant Wohler about this, but we were talking after the last meeting and he was telling me, I'm not sure, Sheriff, they have like a little white tablet or whatever where everybody can look at all the things that are scheduled in the jail in terms of programming everything. Yeah, and he was just, I think it'd be really, really nice, just the huge amount of stuff that's going on in the jail now in terms of opportunities for people. It'd be really nice if you could bring one of those in or maybe go over that and just show the committee, because it was really exciting just to talk to him and for him to share the opportunities and how people can pick, oh, this session's going on, this is going on, this is going on. You know, I think it would just be a
Mhm.
nice,
We can do that.
Yeah,
That would
that
be
would be
great.
great.
it was,
And, you know, I learned something new a lot throughout the day. And there are a lot of people who are providing services to people inside of the jail, to the inmates. And I think that, you know, if we could invite some of them maybe to come and speak if they want to. I know one individual in the community approached me and said that she was doing ministry for the female inmates. And, you know, she's just had all these ideas and, you know, things that she could do to help. And I love that kind of energy. You know, people who have the right motivation and who want to help and who want to, you know, put in the effort. Would love it if we could hear from, you know,
Yeah.
other people.
It was really exciting, yeah, just to talk a little bit about what was going on. So that's why I thought it'd be really nice for the committee to have
It's a
that.
good idea.
And I think the other thing that need to keep in mind is as our jail population numbers are less, it gives, it's better for the staff, obviously. I mean, because there's less tension, you're not double bunking, you're not doing those things. And I think it also gives the people who are incarcerated more opportunities to partake of these services because the population is lower and there's more services available. So it's very exciting. I mean, just, it was really nice to have a little conversation and just, I had no idea how much stuff was going on.
Yeah, I love that. Same. Thank you. Okay. All right. Anybody else with anything that they'd like to see on the agenda? Okay, don't see anybody. Let's go to correspondence reports from conferences and meetings. Come once, come twice. Sold. Okay. All right. And it looks like, what is our next meeting date? Wednesday, September 11th. Okay, is there anything else or should we move on to adjourn? Good? Okay, then we are adjourned until September 11th.